Welcome. Namaste. Welcome back to your basic foundational yoga posture of the week, where I am choosing on specific weeks certain basic foundational yoga postures to break down and demonstrate how to get into these postures. Modifications in case getting into the postures in the typical way does not work in your own beautiful body, and also some of the benefits of the postures. So without further ado, welcome back. My name is Jessie, a.k.a. Moonchild Yoga. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for viewing my content. If you choose at the end of this video that if you decide that you like this content, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. And as always, I am always open to any comments, questions, or feedback that you can feel free to leave in the comment section, or you can also reach out to me personally. So without further ado, we're going to get started on this week's pose, and that is Paschimottanasana, seated forward bend pose. And so to come into our seated forward fold Paschimottanasana posture, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So to come into your Paschimottanasana, or a.k.a. seated forward bend, you're going to want to start in Dandasana staff pose. And so Dandasana is where you are seated with your hips on the earth, your spine is straight and long, palms are resting down on the earth by your hips, your big toes touch, and just gently bring a gentle flex into the toes. And coming from the place of a long spine, keeping the shoulders and face soft, take a deep breath in, letting your belly, side bodies, and chest expand here. And then on your breath out, you simply lean your torso forward. Walk your hands towards or even to your feet if you can reach. And the object here is to keep your spine as straight and long as possible. So that's where the hamstring and hip opening can come in more deeply. And then you're going to bring your face down toward your knees any amount. And so if you can't fold all the way forward, if you can't reach your feet, you can always let your hands rest on the earth by your legs. Any amount is fine. So if they need to be back here, that's okay. It's more about the hamstring and hip opening and the spinal extension here than anything else in the pose. And then once you get to where your body is at a comfortable distance to sustain what you are feeling in the posture, close your eyes down and just take a few deep breaths here. And then to come out of the posture, you're simply going to let your chin come in towards your chest. And on an inhale, you're going to gently rise your body back up, releasing the grip of your feet with your hands if you are holding them. And then on your exhale, you're going to release back to your Dandasana staff pose. And so there are several modifications to come into this posture more easily. If having your sits bones down on the earth does not work for you, if you have a lot of tightness in your hips or hamstrings, elevating your hips, so sitting on a bolster or a pillow or even a folded up blanket can be very helpful. To come into the posture more easily, more readily. And then you'll simply do as you did before. So inhale and having your palms resting on your thighs, growing long in your spine, keeping your shoulders soft. And then you're going to exhale and begin to lean your torso forward once again. So you're reaching your hands towards your feet, and you want to keep the length in your spine. So keeping your spine long really helps to open up your hamstrings. This is a really excellent hamstring opener. And then having your face down towards your knees any amount, and just taking a couple of breaths here to let your body integrate more deeply into the pose. And then, of course, as before, to come out simply as you inhale, begin to roll your spine and torso back up. And then exhale, you'll release back to your Dandasana staff pose. And some other modifications, other props that you can use. Of course, we know our bolster is a good one. You can also add, so you can do this with or without the bolster. You can add blocks to bring them under your knees. This helps to, for folks who have really tight hamstrings in the area of insertion where it goes into the area, the posterior area of your knees, so behind your knees. The blocks are really nice to prop underneath to kind of take the pressure off of that. And so you would inhale once you get here. So once again, with or without the bolster, you can be sitting on the bolster, or you can have your hips on the earth. You'll feel an even deeper bend in your knees. You can also do this with a folded up blanket underneath of your knees. So that is also an option. You'll inhale and grow long in the spine once again, just as we did before, keeping your shoulders soft down your back. And then as you exhale, see if you can keep your spine long and lean your torso forward, reaching your hands towards or to your feet and letting your face come down towards your knees. And then simply breathing into what you feel here. And then to come out of the posture, take a deep breath in, breath out, chin in towards the chest. We're going to rise back up. And then we'll meet in our Dandasana staff pose. Another modification for your Paschimottanasana seated forward bend, using a different prop, we'll use a strap this time, so a yoga strap. If you do not have access to an actual yoga strap, you can use a bathrobe tie, you can use a necktie, or any sort of other string or cloth type of material that you may have in your home that will just simply have some length to it, and you will be able to wrap it around your feet. So the best way, or the most common way, I should say, to use a strap in this posture is to simply wrap it around the right underneath the balls of your feet, so more towards where the arches of your feet would be. And you're holding on to the strap with your hands. And this time I've got my trusty folded up blanket under the backs of my knees. I have a lot of knee sensitivity, and the backs of my knees are no exception. They actually are a lot of times more sensitive than the anterior or fronts of my knees. So having this folded up blanket is the perfect amount of relief for me as far as coming into this posture, or coming into any seated posture where my legs are out straight. So you'll hold on to your straps on both sides with the corresponding hands, kind of like you're riding on a horse and carriage, and you've got to the I don't know what those things are called. Whatever those things are called that that you are telling the horses to giddy up. This is a video about yoga, not horses. Anyway, you'll take a deep breath in, grow long in the spine, send your breath out through the crown of the head. Let the shoulders be soft down the back. Soften your face and jaw, and then as you exhale, you'll lean your body forward. See if you can keep your spine nice and straight. So for me, I can actually reach my feet with my hands at this point in life anyway. So I would actually do better if I held the straps a little closer to my feet versus this far back. But if that does not work in your body, by all means, feel free to hold the straps wherever is best. This will also help to maintain that flex in your feet, and it will also help you to feel like you can grow a little longer in your spine. And then as you exhale, you're going to let your face come down towards your knees, just as we did previously, and then breathe into what you feel here. And then, of course, as before, to come out of the posture, take a deep breath in, rising yourself all the way up. And then as you exhale, we'll meet in our Dandasana staff pose. If you've been following along with any of my other content related to basic foundational yoga postures of the week, you will recall that we have come into all of them with the modification of using a chair, and our seated forward fold or Paschimottanasana is no exception to that. So to come into this posture in a chair, if you simply cannot sit down on the floor, or you can get down but you can't get back up, or it's just too much in your physical body to come down all the way that low, you can always do this posture in a chair. And so you'll have a regular chair. I like to use these folding chairs. I think they're really the best for this sort of thing. Any chair will do, as long as you are willing and able to kind of play around with how the posture feels in your body while you're seated in a chair, and what sort of props that you may need to use actually seated in the chair to help you get into the posture. And so simply doing the posture with no props, just seated on a chair, that's your only prop, you're going to bring your sits bones about halfway up, maybe even further than halfway, depending on the chair and how your body feels in the chair. And then you're going to let your legs grow long. So letting your heels come to the earth if you can, flexing into your feet once again. Take a deep breath in, grow long in the spine, and then breath out, seeing if you can keep your spine straight. You're going to begin to fold forward nice and slow, as far as you can come. Now for me, seated in a chair, this is as far as I can come. I'm actually going to lengthen through my spine and breathe out through the crown of the head and hope this chair doesn't scoot back anymore. And then as I breathe out, I'm going to bring my face down towards my knees. And then just breathe into what you feel here. And then next breath in, begin to simply rise back up, just as we did when we were seated all the way down on the mat, on the earth. And then breath out, you're just going to come back to a neutral seated position. And of course, there are a million different ways to modify this and most other yoga postures. But I'm going to show just another modification seated in a chair. So having the blocks under your feet. So if you have a lot of extra tightness in your hips and hamstrings, this is a really great way to kind of take up space in between the earth and your feet. It also naturally brings a nice slight bend into the knees. So I had mentioned the knee sensitivity, the posterior knee sensitivity that I have. So if I was to come into this posture, into a chair, this would be a really great way to help me alleviate some of that pressure. And so once again, you're going to place the palms on the thighs, grow long and tall in the spine, keep your shoulders soft, gently tuck your tailbone just a little bit forward here, soften your face and jaw, take a deep breath in, and then breath out. You're going to let your torso come down over your thighs. Reach your hands as far forward as they'll go. You can always leave your hands just kind of hanging down towards the earth, fingertips towards the earth, if it's too much for you to reach. And let your face come towards your knees. And remember, we're working for length in the spine. So you don't want to round our back. We really want to keep our spine nice and long. So that is where that hip or that hamstring opening really comes into play here. And then just breathe into what you feel. So letting your face come down towards your knees as far as it will go. And breathing into what you feel here. And then on your next breath in, as you're ready to come out of the posture, you'll come all the way back up, chin in towards your chest. Breath out, make your way back to a neutral seated position. So some benefits of our seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. It improves spinal flexibility. It helps to lengthen and stretch the hamstrings, obviously. It also can be a good hip opener, and it also can aid in digestion. So it helps to get your digestive system going. So this is one of the many yoga postures that it's a really great benefit to practice first thing in the morning. So it can help in getting your digestive system flowing. Contraindications include folks who have sciatica or herniated discs or severe lower back pain. You should either heavily modify or you should just avoid this posture altogether. It would have to be something, if you've never practiced this posture before, you would just have to try and see if some of the modifications that are offered here, some other modifications might help you. Or it may be something that you may not be able to do altogether. Also, folks who have had recent abdominal surgeries, you really want to be careful and take note of how your body may react, or maybe just take a hiatus or avoid this posture for a while until you heal. So thank you so much for joining. I am so thrilled that you have watched this video in its entirety, and I hope that you have enjoyed this. And if you have and you would like to see more content of this nature, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. And I will see you very soon for more yoga-related content. Thanks so much once again. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.